they'd like to share, any simchas, any happy occasions in this challenging time? Anyone have any trips coming up? Where are you going? Oh, you told me about that, right, DC. Anyone else have anything planned for the summer? Nadia? That's exciting. Anybody else? Sally? Wonderful. When are you going to head there? Okay. Good. Well, our community is still traveling a little bit. I'm going to turn things back over to the lovely and talented Gordon Lustig.
The very lovely. Yeah, my son was asked to go to Scotland, so he's going to go to Scotland in May, in Paris. So he's going directly from his bedroom to Scotland. There's been nothing in between. But sometimes that's how it works. And then right back to his bedroom, I'm sure. Okay, we're on page 129. A nice wedding song for welcoming the Shabbat. Dodi liva ani lo haro en bashushani. Dodi liva ani lo haro en bashushani. Mizotola min hamidbar. Mizotola. Shoshani, Dodi Liva Anilo Haroel, Shoshani, Libavtini Achuti Chala, Libavtini Chala, Libavtini Achuti Chala, Libavtini Chala. Anilo Haroel Bashoshani Dodi Liva Anilo Haroel Bashoshani Uri Tzafon Uro Iteman Uri Tzafon Teman, Dodi Liva Anilo Haroel Bashoshani, Dodi Liva Anilo Haroel Bashoshani.
Shabbat Shalom again to everyone. Good to see you. Thanks to those of you who shared some of your upcoming travels. It's nice to see some of you I haven't seen for a little while. How is 1119 Pinewood, Stan and Ada?
You're still getting your mail.
You're still getting our mail. Blame the post office, not us. For those of you who don't know, Stan and Ada have been renting the house that Carolyn and I rented the first couple of years we lived here. Good to see everyone. Hi, Peggy. Welcome. Sally, don't take it personally. People at CBS tend to pick one side and then just sit on that side for the whole evening. But you can move over if you'd like. We are going to start with the lighting of our Shabbat candles. And by default, I called you the lovely and talented. So I won't call my wife Carolyn lovely and talented. I'll just call you my wife.
Or the funny and zany.
The funny and zany Carolyn Gill, would you please come up and light our Shabbat candles? And the blessing is on page 120.
Hold on, that didn't work. Okay, let's try this.
Matches that light. Now
Yeah, we
just
have
need
matches that
candles.
work now. The candles don't work. I think you got it now.
Yeah. Make sure it doesn't blow it out. Okay. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat.
I was going to kiss you, but you left too early, so I'll have to do it later. I'll do it later.
I'll move over here.
What's that? I can kiss you. If
No,
you...
that's why I moved over there. I knew how you think.
So we normally do one of the Shabbat songs that are only about 500 years old, like Shalom Alechem or Lachadodi or others. Tonight we're going to pick one that's 2,500 years old. It's Mizmor Shir. Gordon's going to set it up, but it's actually from the Psalms. It's from the book of Psalms. I don't know which melody you've picked. It says
I found it.
Daphne Rosenberg.
Daphne Rosenberg melody.
But it's much, much older than the typical Shabbat prayers that we do, which brings it closer and closer and closer to early Jewish worship. But it's just as beautiful, and hopefully you will join in.
Yeah, I just heard this when another cantorial soloist called up and asked if I could help her kind of arrange it. And that's often how I find new music. And it's real simple and real pretty, and you'll find the words on page 140. Mizmor Shir Liyom HaShabbat, Mizmor Shir Liyom HaShabbat, Tov Lehadod Ladonai, Uzamer L'Shimcha Elyon, Lehagid Baboker Chastecha, Ve'emunatcha Balelot, Ale Asor, Vale Navel, Ale Kigayon Vechinor, Mizmor Shir Liyom HaShabbat, Mizmor Shir Liyom HaShabbat, Tov Lehodod Ladonai, Uzamer L'Shimcha Elyon. We're going to do just that first part again. Mizmor Shir Liyom HaShabbat, Mizmor Shir Liyom HaShabbat, Tov Lehodod Ladonai, Uzamer L'Shimcha Elyon, Lehagid Baboker Chastecha, Ve'emunatcha Balelot, Ale Asor, Va'ale Anavel, Ale Higayon Vechinor. Last time. Mizmor Shir Liyom HaShabbat, Mizmor Shir Liyom HaShabbat, Tov Lehodod Ladonai, Uzamer L'Shimcha Elyon, Elyon.
Thank you. We continue with our call to worship the Baruch Hu on page 146. If you are able, please rise.
lai, lai, lai. Barechu et Adonai, HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai, HaMevorach, HaMevorach, Le'olam Va'ed. HaMevorach, HaMevorach, Le'olam Va'ed.
Please remain standing as we turn to page 149, and I invite you to please join me in the English at the bottom of the page. This is an hour of change. Within it, we stand uncertain on the border of light. Shall we draw back or cross over? Where shall our hearts turn? Shall we draw back, my brother, my sister, or cross over? This is the hour of change, and within it we stand quietly on the border of light. What lies before us? Shall we draw back, my brother, my sister, or cross over? Baruch atah Adonai hama'ariv aravim. Wisdom and wonder, passion and instruction, story and symbol, all these things your Torah gives to us. And the more we devote ourselves to it, the more it grows and gives. What could be a truer token of your abiding love than this holiest of your works and the living language that gives it form? Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kavod, Shem Kavod, Malchuto Leolam, Leolam Va'ed.
Please be seated.
V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol meodecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavacha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam v'shivtecha b'veitecha uv'lektecha b'derech uv'shokbecha uv'kumecha uv'kshartam leot hayadecha v'hayu latotafot b'neinecha uchtavtam al mezuzot beitecha uv'isharecha Laman tiskaru v'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'yitem kedoshim le'Elohechem ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim liot lachem le'Elohim ani Adonai Elohechem.
Page 158. This song, Michamocha, in many ways celebrates women, celebrates Jewish women as leaders. These are the words of Miriam, Moses and Aaron's sister, and Miriam, along with her fellow Israelite women, as I think many of you know, after the Israelites crossed the Sea of Reeds, successfully they lead their community in prayer. Now, some of you know that I was in San Diego earlier this week for the annual rabbinical conference of the Central Conference of Reform Rabbis, and it was great to see old colleagues and learn best practices and study text, with almost 400 colleagues of mine from around the country. But one of the highlights of our conference was the celebration, the 50-year anniversary of the first woman to be ordained as a Reform rabbi. It happened in 1972. Sally Prezand was the very first woman rabbi, and now rabbinical schools are at least 50% or even more female. But it was a real milestone 50 years ago when it happened. She was there. I was able to talk to her a little bit. But what I didn't know and learn during this conference was that in the early 1920s, 1921, 1922, another woman almost was ordained as the first Reform rabbi. She was the daughter of a prominent Reform rabbi from Philadelphia, and he advocated for her. She, at that time, now rabbinical school is 5 years long. Back then it was 9 years long. And she had finished the first 7 or 8 years of rabbinical school. Ordination was just on the horizon. The Central Conference of American Rabbis, with some dissenters, approved and supported her being ordained. This was 100 years ago. But the lay leadership of the time, the Board of Governors, major donors, some alumni, ultimately quashed that decision. So I'm very proud of my rabbinic forebears 100 years ago for almost ordaining the first woman. But see, it's those lay leaders sometimes stop progress. But luckily in 1972, we had our first woman rabbi, and now it's only been onward and upward. So on that note, let's hear the words of Miriam, who sang this a lot earlier than 1972.
Well, we could do that, or we could do Miriam's song.
We could do that too, if you'd
Turn
rather.
to page 646 in honor of everybody. Okay. We will do Miriam's song, page 646. We're going to start on the verse in Miriam. And Miriam was a weaver of unique variety. The tapestry she wove was one which sang our history. With every thread and every strand she crafted her delight. A woman touched with spirit, she dances toward the light. And the women dancing with their timbrels followed Miriam as she sang her song. Sing a song to the one whom we've exalted. Miriam and the women danced the whole night long. As Miriam stood upon the shores and gazed across the seas, the wonder of this miracle she soon came to believe. Whoever thought the sea would part with an outstretched hand, and we would pass to freedom and march to the promised land. And the women dancing with their timbrels followed Miriam as she sang her song. Sing a song to the one whom we've exalted. Miriam and the women danced the whole night long. And Miriam the prophet took her timbrel in her hand, and all the women followed her just as she had planned. And Miriam raised her voice in song, she sang with praise and might. We've just lived through a miracle, we're going to dance tonight. And the women dancing with their timbrels followed Miriam as she sang her song. Sing a song to the one whom we've exalted. Miriam and the women danced the whole night long.
Please turn back to page 161. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Adonai, help us to walk with good companions, to live with hope in our hearts and eternity in our thoughts, that we may lie down in peace and rise up waiting to do your will. Baruch atah Adonai, hapores sukat shalom, aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael, ve'al Yerushalayim.
Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Askivenu Adonai Eloheinu Shalom, Shalom. Hamidenu Shomreinu L'chaim. Ufros Aleinu Sukkot Shlomecha. Ufros Aleinu Sukkot Shlomecha. Askivenu Adonai Eloheinu Shalom, Shalom. Hamidenu Shomreinu L'chaim. Ufros Aleinu Sukkot Shlomecha. Ufros Aleinu Sukkot Shlomecha. Shelter us beneath your wings, O Adonai. Guard us from all harmful things, O Adonai. Keep us safe throughout the night, till we wake with morning's light. Teach us, God, wrong from right. Amen. 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 Amen.
Please take a moment now for your own silent thoughts and prayers.
page 180. Yehiyu l'ratzon imrefi v'hegion libi lefanecha Adonai tzuri v'goali Ose shalom bimromav Ose shalom bimromav Uya'ase shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael V'himru
We take time now to think of those in need of healing on this Shabbat, healing of body, healing of spirit, and healing of heart. And we ask God to bestow the bracha, the blessing of refuah shlema, full and complete healing on the following men and women from our community or those known and loved by our congregation. Lynn Feingold, Ilana Massey, Kevin Brackett, Ginny Sims, Nancy Jeanette, Michelle Camissia, Joshua Hyman, Dylan Bonnick, Diane Butler, Elsa Loach, Mark Charney, Michael Edwards, Jesse Friedman, Scott Stern, Tom Sabo, Yolanda Galaz, Judy Nystrom, Beverly Eigner, Carl Rice, and Michael Cosson. And if anyone has a name they wish to share, please do so.
Hope Reiner, Elaine Dubin, Steve Lundin, Chuck Carroll, who am I missing? Elliot Lefferts, who else? Oh my God, so many. Lois Miller and Robert Schreiber.
Lisa LaFay and Marilyn Logan.
My sister Elaine Merkin.
The Misha Berach is on page 511.
Mishe berach avoteinu for habracha ve'imoteinu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Mishe berach imoteinu kor habracha lavoteinu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen.
Shabbat Shalom. Good Shabbos again to everyone, and good to see some of you who I haven't seen in a little while. So we are almost at the exact midpoint of the Torah in our reading in the Jewish calendar right now. We're reading a Torah portion called Tazria, which is in the book of Leviticus, almost exactly in the middle of the book of Leviticus, which is the third of the 5 books of Moses. So here we are smack in the middle of sacred scripture, and you would expect something dramatic, famous, powerful, memorable that I could talk about tonight? Well, I get to talk about, yes, you guessed it, leprosy. This Torah portion, in a lot of ways, because the focus is on tzara'at, which is usually translated as leprosy, but it's not quite clear what kind of plague they were talking about. For many of us, it feels arcane and primitive. You know, rabbis are challenged every year to try to find something interesting to talk about with a subject that seems so irrelevant to most of our modern lives. Now, in this Torah portion, not only can human beings have tzara'at, this plague, but so can houses, property, and clothing. Sort of how we felt when COVID had just started about 2 years ago. Remember, people would wash off their groceries and things like that? Tzara'at is a kind of disease or affliction that isolated and separated people from one another. It was damaging, at least in the short term, to a sense of community and social cohesion. And you can imagine this new Jewish nation, having just gone through the Exodus experience and having been slaves not so long ago, this was not a real welcome situation as they were trying to find deep relationships and build a society. And in this way, it is very similar to the plague that the whole world has been living through over the last 2 years. We don't call it tzara'at, but it's still a kind of plague. Now, how did our ancestors, the ancient Israelites, confront this problem when it afflicted members of their community? First, and similar to what we did, it was with quarantine, by distancing the infected person from the rest of the camp. And there's vivid descriptions of how they go about doing that in this Torah portion. And then, hopefully, when the person is better, with a ritual of reparation and reintegration. After that quarantine period, after the person hopefully was better, they went through a ritual of rebirth, of regeneration. They would go into a mikveh, and then it would be accompanied by animal sacrifice. That was the ritual they did at that time. Bodily immersion in a mikveh, in a body of water, and then this ritual sacrifice at the Mishkan, at the tabernacle. After that point, the person who had been afflicted was allowed to re-enter the camp and begin to make the community whole again. The experience of illness and recovery makes someone with tzara'at a new person, reborn, reintegrated, and with a new perspective on life. And the text makes that very clear. As all of us gradually, slowly, and for the second time now, begin to emerge from this global experience of tzara'at, of plague, of isolation, we need to think of ways to reunite and reintegrate with each other to make the experience as rewarding and enriching as possible. Every community is trying to figure that out. Every congregation is trying to figure that out. We've already done the quarantine and social distancing part. Now we need to renew the bonds, our bonds, our relationships with each other as we strive to recreate our community. None of us will likely emerge from this pandemic and look at the world or at our lives in the same way again. But let us work together to share our insights, forge a new and collective vision, and rebuild our congregation and wider community in ways that would make our ancestors proud. Ken Yehi Ratzon, may it be God's will. We continue now on page 586 with the Aleinu. Again, if you are able, please rise.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם. ואנחנו קוראים, שחבים ומודים, לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
Please be seated. We have two board members here tonight, and I'm not clear on which one of you is doing the announcement. Three board members. So is it Roberta, Ellen, or Larry? Which one of you is, if no one is scheduled to do the announcements, Ellen, why don't you come up and do them?
I never get to do it anymore. I'm almost off the board.
That's right.
It's like so sad after all these years.
Well, you get to do them.
Thank you. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
So many things going on. And this is one that's near and dear to my heart. This coming Wednesday at 7 o'clock, we have a Zoom call to approve the new bylaws. Everybody has gotten them. I hope you've read them. We've only gotten 2 comments back from everybody in the congregation, and they were good comments. But we are changing some significant things like membership. So even if you're an associate member, you need to be on this call because we feel like everybody should be able to vote. And that's one of the changes that we're making to the bylaws. And you'll get to see me for an hour. And then tomorrow morning, Rabbi Goldstein will be leading Torah study here in person and online.
Not tomorrow morning.
Oh, April 9th.
Yeah, next.
Oh, next week. I'll be leaving then, too. April 9th at 10:30. I didn't realize we were so far ahead. And then April 12th, we're having a security and safety private organization, community security service, who will have an online training for CBS members on Zoom, but it requires registration, so you can do that on our website. Passover begins Friday, April 15th. There will be no in-person service or online for that Shabbat because we are hoping that everybody will be celebrating Pesach in their homes. But we will have a joyous Shabbat on Friday, April 22nd, and celebrate a Passover Shabbat at that time. And it will be a family Shabbat, and we will be reopening Oneg, so we will have wine service. And we hope that everybody who has a birthday or an anniversary in April will be there. We'd like to give warm wishes to the birthday boys and girls this week. We have Kevin Brackett, Ernie Ware, Brett Bergman, Ike Rubin, and Jennifer Kaufman. And happy anniversary to Farah and Ralph Garber, 44 years, Laura Schumer and Checky, 12 years, and Alan and Barbara Balick, 55 years. Shabbat Shalom, and thank you for singing my favorite song tonight.
Miriam,
Miriam, you got it.
that's why I did it.
Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you for reading our announcements with your usual zest and aplomb. Our thoughts turn now to those who are no longer with us, those who have died both recently and in seasons past. We remember and honor those who have died during this past year. Sanford Rubin, Stuart Paley, Bonnie Kapeloff-Mamie, Dr. Ian Miller, Jimmy Rabb, Sandra Somick, Michael Gordon, Larry Elson, Arnold Trombler, Erica Cornelison, Gladys Shubin, Richard Magano, Clerk Smith, Stephanie Rabb Axner, David Ernesto Kaplan, Pat Pate, Annette Goldberg, Maggie Sherman, Sandra Banco-Fichtenberg, Nicholas Huff, and George Montano. We also remember and honor the yard sites of Edward Robb, Esther Hadassah Frisch, Jack Barish, Veta Ginsburg, Carol Kamer, Gertrude Eston, Louis Abrams, Milton Thornton, Adam Lieberstein, Ethel Solomon, Ruth Dinnerman, and Ruth Feld Green. And if anyone has a name that they wish to share, I invite you to please do so.
Howard Cohen. Michael Rosen. John Loden and Tom Nelson.
The mourner's Kaddish is on page 598. Please rise. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shmei Rabbah, be'alma divrach hirteh v'yamlich malchuteh, b'chayachon v'yomachon, uv'chayeh decho Beit Yisrael, b'agala uv'izman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach le'alam u'lamei almaya, Yitbarak v'yishtabak v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shmei dekudsha barichu, Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tush b'chata v'nechamata, damiran b'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shmaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav, hu yaseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. May the source of peace grant peace to all those who are in mourning and comfort to all those who are bereaved. And let us all say amen. Please be seated. Before we turn to our concluding blessings over the wine and challah, we have a final song. Gordon, what do you have for us tonight?
Oh, that's a good question. I was looking at this Sephardic Ladino Ein Keloheinu, trying to decide if I remember it. Do you remember it?
I have to hear it first.
Well, me too. I'll play it and see if I know it, and then we'll hear
Okay.
it. I'll give you the idea, but we're going to do it again when I know it better. But I just feel like doing this tonight, even if I don't know it so well. It goes something like Ein Kel. Okay, it's on page 631, actually, this version. Let's do it a little higher. Ein Keloheinu, Ein Kadonenu, Ein Kemalkeinu, Ein Kemoshienu. Non como nuestro Dios, non como nuestro Señor, non como nuestro Rey, non como nuestro Salvador. Mi Eloheinu, mi Adonenu, mi Malkeinu, mi Moshienu, ken como nuestro Dios, ken como nuestro Señor, ken como nuestro Rey, ken como nuestro Salvador. No de Eloheinu, no de Ladonenu, no de Malkeinu, no de Moshienu. Gloramos a nuestro Dios, gloraremos nuestro Señor, gloraremos nuestro Rey, gloraremos nuestro Salvador. We're moving back to the first verse again. Ein Keloheinu, Ein Kadonenu, Ein Kemalkeinu, Ein Kemoshienu. Non como nuestro Dios, non como nuestro Señor, non como nuestro Rey, non como nuestro Salvador. So that's pretty exciting, right? You could see the potential of that.
I don't think I've heard that before.
Oh, okay.
But you've transported all of us to 12th century Spain.
Great.
With
Great.
We'll do it again.
Yeah, you can beam us back and we'll do the motzi. But we're going to do it again. I'll learn it. But hopefully that was a trailer.
Okay.
Okay.
Let's all rise if you can, and we're going to do the blessings together. And I invite you to join us first in the Kiddush. And as Ellen said, in a couple more weeks, we're going to start being able to do this again for whoever's comfortable with it. But I look forward to having an oneg after 2 years.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei b'ri hagafen,
Amen.
l'chaim.
L'chaim.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen.
B'te'avon. Shabbat Shalom.
Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat 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 Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat 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 Shalom, Shabbat 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 Shalom, Shabbat 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 Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat 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 Shalom.
You know what we should do next time you do a Ladino song? Instead of saying the blessing over challah, like just have a big bowl of rice and say it over rice.
Okay.
Shabbat Shalom.
Nice. I just couldn't remember this one part.
You know, if you